RTSS is the name of a malaria vaccine candidate, which scientists say is the most advanced so far. The RTSS, which it took about 30 years to develop, is intended for children in sub-Saharan Africa.
But the most recent one, the RTSS-2 vaccine, which is being developed, and this have been developed and being tested on a larger scale in 7 African countries. The 7 countries, Nigeria exclusive. I can mention, I think, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Kenya, and I think Cameroon, and a number of countries, I think Ghana, and a number of countries in sub-Saharan Africa. 7 of them. Now, the initial stage of that vaccine have shown clearly that it's really promising from the figure that we're giving out. It has shown that it has about a 50% protection in infants and children as well. So there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope. But we still at the trial stage. It's still at the field trial stage. We do not, as I'm speaking now, we do not have a clinical vaccine yet. What do I mean? We do not have a vaccine that are approved internationally to be used by clinicians. The vaccine we have on the field at the moment are still under what we call phase 3 large-scale trial, clinical trial. So they are still vaccines that need to be evaluated by the World Health Organization and approved and recommended for clinical use.
Scientists are using a new gene editing technique to slice the genome of mosquitoes and put in new genetic substance to come up with the genetically modified mosquito. What is the purpose of this newly created mosquito?
The genetic modified mosquitoes is mosquitoes that transmit the parasite that have been modified in such a way that it won't be able to pick the parasite. Even if you pick the parasite, it won't be able to transmit the parasite to a human. So that's the whole concept. There are there are more than 20 techniques to do that. This is left for the scientists. But the truth of the matter is that these are mosquitoes that will be modified genetically. You understand what I mean by genetically? The genetic composition of the mosquito will be changed somehow and will not be able to transmit the parasite. The whole idea is that you have the mosquitoes in your society, in your community, and environment, okay? But the parasite will not be transmitted to human. And what brought the whole concept is the fact that people have been talking about, oh, malaria should not be a problem if you can get rid of the mosquitoes. Then, but my teaching, and in the last 20 years, I've been teaching that you can't eradicate mosquito from the environment. You cannot, because these are organisms, whether you like it or not. The ecosystem needs every organism.
Experts believe that to make the most significant headway against malaria, Nigeria must take ownership of the problem.
The Global Fund, the Gates Foundation are all donors from Europe and America. So I'm looking at a time where Africa will take a center stage, because most of these vaccines are developed outside anyway, and they are trying in Africa. So I think most research institutions in Africa must key into this. What we need to do at country level, as a country, is to actually sit down at the round table and develop a roadmap for malaria elimination. Yes, one has to acknowledge what the effort being made to ensure that children in school, for instance, receive hostel, have bed nets. Children infected are quickly treated, they are diagnosed with malaria. Today, we can't just treat people. We don't do presumptive treatment anymore. You must be confirmed or being positive for malaria before you treat, because of a drug-resistant issue that we don't want to compound. But more than that, we need to sit down and say, what is our roadmap for malaria elimination in this country?
Specifically with respect to pregnant women, yes, it's reducing, but it can be even more can be done. Remember, we have a very high population, so even a small percentage in absolute terms will still mean large numbers of people. The World Health Organization, together with the Federal Ministry of Health, have put in place a package of interventions, preventive interventions during pregnancy. So now vector control, that is controlling the mosquitoes using insecticide-treated nets, has been put in place, as well as other measures like using intermittent preventive treatment or prophylactic treatment with a drug called SP, sulfadoxine pyrimethamine. And these measures have helped to reduce malaria, but compliance is an issue. It's one thing to give a woman a net to use. It's another thing for the woman to actually use the net. And from my interaction with patients and even some of the research I've done, one major issue with using the net is heat, power. And I say, okay, why not buy a rechargeable fan? Okay, then the socio-economic issue comes in, all right? Now, with respect to using the SP, okay, the government has also come up with another strategy, that is giving it as a directly observed treatment. We don't ask the women to go and buy the drugs and take at home. We know some of them won't. So, periodically, the drugs are prescribed, the nurses administer the drugs, and the patients take the drugs in the hospital. My own interaction and little research, less than 1 to 2% of those I've come in contact with are even aware of the existence of indoor residual spraying. Issue housing is an issue. Someone who doesn't have proper accommodation, where does he begin to fix a net? Or someone whose house has maybe a thatched roof or has holes in the roof and all that. The windows hardly close, the doors hardly close. How do you prevent mosquitoes from coming in?
While scientists will take different approaches to tackling the malaria problem, some with the vaccine, some with the genetically modified mosquito, they all agree that malaria incidence can be drastically reduced, allowing most children to survive, and urge that until a more permanent solution is achieved, preventive measures like indoor residual spraying and the long-lasting insecticide-treated nets will serve. That's all on Big Story. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.